Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Blast from the Past. Hell's aspiring angel takes on her demonic doppelganger in this action-packed, time-traveling E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Blast from the Past with a bonus E-Steam comic book, No Good Deed, in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Hi everyone, it's Shawn here with a comic review video. And this week I am doing reviews of the books of the Konkret or Konkret universe, and I previously did reviews of Absolver number 2, which is one of the best books of 2020, and you definitely want to check that one out. And Acolyte, another great book that I believe belongs on the list of the best books of 2020. And you can get both of those books in digital or paper format by heading over to Konkret or KonkretComics.com, and I'm going to leave a link to their website in the description box and the comment section of this video. Now, after reviewing those two books and finding out how fantastic both of them were, I picked up Andy Starboy and I checked it out. Now, Andy Starboy is a book that I thought wouldn't fit organically into the Konkret or Konkret universe, but it tells a very compelling story, and it does a far better job with a premise that I had already read 2 years before in a book called Border Town that was created by DC's Vertigo relaunch. Now, in DC's Vertigo relaunch, they launched a title called Border Town, and this was supposed to be a book about these kids who were living in this town that was on the border of the United States. And that book was so terrible due to the push for social justice and identity politics that was all throughout the book that we didn't really get much in terms of action, adventure, or story. And that led to a lot of people ripping and roasting that book. But when I look at Andy Starboy, I see what that whole concept and premise could have been had it been done by a professional team. Now, your Andy Starboy takes that same premise that Border Town went out here and failed with, and takes it and makes it absolutely fantastic and compelling, because Andy Starboy is a mutant who is descended from aliens, and this premise is a great commentary on dealing with the racism that aliens have to deal with as related to these United States of America. So I really like how they make a commentary about your aliens, and they make a comment as related to racism and aliens. So there was the writers here did a great job with developing the characters and developing the story, and they do a great job of giving us that commentary between the lines, and they don't go out here and preach at us. They show this character and they show us the content of this Andy Starboy's character. Now, this Andy Starboy's story starts with him. They let us know who he is, and they let us know that he reminds me a lot of Virgil Hawkins, who was Static back in the day. And this book really has that fun feel like Static used to have, because Andy Starboy is a high school teenager, and he's aspiring to be not only a student, but he's also aspiring to be a superhero. So he has an American dream that he wants to go out here and accomplish, and he wants to go out here and use the alien technology that he has gotten over the years, and that he has also, been part of the culture here in America, because this world is very different from our world, and he wants to use them to become a celebrity / superhero. So in this opening sequence, we have Andy filming what looks like a YouTube video for social media, and then he's going to go out here and practice with this large dinosaur, this large lizard. So he's what they call a new breed, and these are people who have mutated because when aliens came to Earth, they mutated, and they are considered to be second-class citizens here in the United States. And he wants to be a hero that shows a positive new breed person, and he wants to go out here and be that type of hero and role model. So he's taking on this dinosaur, this lizard, as part of a challenge to himself, and he's recording it on video, and we get some great panels of him in action as he's taking on this lizard in the desert. So he's in the middle of some practice, and he then takes down this mutant, and after taking down this mutant in a great splash page that reminds me of old 90s comics, we get some backstory as related to how things have changed and how we got these new breed mutants in this universe. So according to this story, these new breed aliens came because we had aliens come to this part of Roswell, and over the years these aliens came to Earth and they resided here, and as they resided here, people mutated, and as they mutated, we started to see society change from the human-alien interactions, and this technology evolved, and the whole society evolved. So we saw things change in this world of Andy Starboy, and now we are in a world where aliens and humans live together, and Andy is a part of a family of Mexicans, and he's a guy who just wants to go out here and he wants to just be a hero. And again, that's his American dream, and that's how this book practically blows the doors off of this premise that DC's Vertigo failed to execute with Border Town. It really shows us that this alien isn't about promoting identity politics. This is an alien who wants to be a part of our world. He wants the American dream, and he wants to have equal footing with everybody else. So he wants people to judge him based on the content of his character, not the color of his skin or the color of his species. He wants to go out here and be a hero, and that's something every teenage boy wants to be who's been reading comics. They want to go out here and be that hero who serves their community. So this Andy Starboy, he wants to go out here and do good, and he wants to go out here and help people, and he's got these nano weapons and this nano suit, and he wants to go out here again and do what's right, and that's what makes him a hero. So he's a hero at heart, and that's what I really like about this character, is the fact that he's a hero at heart, and he has such passion and love for being a hero, and that shows all throughout the pages of this book. Again, it reminded me so much of Static back in the day. I mean, the same love and passion that Virgil Hawkins had, Andy Starboy has for being a hero, and I really like seeing that in this character. I mean, this character has so much heart and so much passion. I mean, he wants to go out here and do good, and that's a mistake. I don't want to give away too much about this book, but this is the kind of book that we used to get back in 1993 when I was at the vendor tables and I saw Static. This is the kind of enthusiasm I had about this book. I mean, it took me back to those days with Static, and this kind of book, I think it has that same type of energy and I think it has the type of appeal because kids love aliens, kids love superheroes, and Andy Starboy does a great job of fusing aliens and superheroes together, and it also makes a great social commentary on race and race relations, and there's a lot here to enjoy with this Andy Starboy book. So I thought when I first came into it, it was going to be, one of the weaker books because it didn't fit organically into the Konkret universe, but this is a book that stands out on its own, and it does a great job of making the hero distinct. And this first issue leaves a strong first impression on the reader. and the book is so solid. I definitely see myself coming back for the second issue to find out what happens to Andy Starboy after the end of this first issue. So this first issue does a great job of introducing us to Andy Starboy, and it does a great job of making us care about Andy Starboy, and it makes us like this guy, which is one of the most important things you want to do with a hero, is make a hero that the reader can like. And this guy has all of the magic and energy, I say, of a Ninja Turtles or a Static Shock. I could easily see this series becoming adapted into an animated series or action figures. I mean, it's got that toyetic feel, and it's got that very dynamic feel, and it looks like a winner as I see it so far. So Andy Starboy is one book that I highly recommend you go out here and get. I mean, it's not as heavy as Absolver or Acolyte, but it's a fun book, and it's a fun book that takes you back to the old days of the 90s comics, and it really takes you also back to a lot of those animated series that I used to watch on Saturday morning cartoons. So there's a lot to like here, and you're definitely going to enjoy Andy Starboy. I highly recommend you go out here and get this book. This is one that has a lot of promise as I see it so far, and the creators, again, have done a fantastic job on this series, and they have shown us that that premise that they had from DC Vertigo's Border Town, when executed properly, can be a fantastic and compelling story. Now, you can get your own copy of Andy Starboy by heading over to Konkret or KonkretComics.com by clicking the link in the description box or the comments section. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct fantasy fiction titles, which feature heroes and heroines like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, and the John Haynes series, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And if you want to check out my first comic that I've published, E-Steam No Good Deed, you can find that in E-Steam Blast from the Past, which is available in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com. It's also available on Smashwords, Google Play, and the iBookstore. And if you want to see me make more videos reviewing comics and be able to support great black comic creators like Konkret or Konkret Comics, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App so that I can continue putting in pledges and buying great comics from great black comic creators like Konkret or Konkret Comics and be able to pay for the books of the SJS Direct imprint. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available, paperback and Kindle Unlimited, ISIS, the main event. It's carnage inside of a steel cage when the goddess next door steps in the squared circle with the beast from the boss in this action-packed, all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, the main event, paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.